Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1, followed by the words Spot and Media. U.S. officials in North Dakota said yesterday's arraignment of members of the Lavrick Willocks lottery scam network is the first step in a process that could continue for years. 4 members of the 8 who were extradited from Jamaica to the U.S. on Wednesday pleaded not guilty when they appeared in federal court in Bismarck, North Dakota. 4 did not enter pleas because their public defenders were not present. All were ordered held without bail until detention hearings next week. This report is from the NBC affiliate KFYR-TV in Bismarck.
What I'm holding in my hand is an indictment for 15 suspects allegedly involved in the scam. Now, this is 42 pages detailing exactly how these suspects swindled elderly Americans out of millions of dollars. This plane carried 8 defendants from the Caribbean who federal authorities have been tracking for years. FBI agents began investigating the Jamaican lottery scam in 2012. Sanjay Williams was sentenced in Fargo in 2015 to 20 years in prison for his role in defrauding North Dakotans and other Americans out of millions of dollars.
There are victims alleged to have been targeted here in North Dakota, as well as the east and west coast and all the way south to Texas.
Assistant U.S. State's Attorney Claire Hochholzer is prosecuting the case. Today's arraignment is the first step in a process that could continue for years.
The next step in the process is to continue the investigation and continue the effort to extradite and arrest the remaining defendants who are charged.
Federal authorities are still looking for 4 other fugitives connected to the case. Officials say the con starts with a phone call telling people they can receive millions of dollars in cash awards if they pay a fee for taxes on that prize. Typically, after the victim mails a check, the phone number connected to the hoax is disconnected. A Harvey, North Dakota woman was scammed out of $300,000 in 2011. Today's indictment alleges dozens of elderly Americans were swindled out of more than $6 million.
These defendants are all charged with variations of conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud in connection with telemarketing fraud, international money laundering.
All of the defendants were appointed counsel today. We were unable to speak to any of the court-appointed attorneys representing the accused. A trial date has not been set yet. Authorities are still waiting to arrest and extradite the remaining suspects.
Confirmation has come that various professionals and business operators are now on the police radar as investigations intensify into the lottery scam, following Thursday's revelation by Public Affairs Officer for the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, Joshua Polacek, that attorneys may be among persons to be extradited to the U.S. in connection with the scam. A senior investigator last night said other groups are under surveillance. Head of the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, Assistant Commissioner Clifford Chambers, told our news center that a wide-ranging probe is in progress regarding persons who it's believed facilitated the lottery scammers.
The investigation web led us to be looking at persons who were involved in car company, car mart, people who were involved in entities that treat with the caring of motor vehicles, like people who do washing, cleaning, and stuff like that. You look at persons involved in real estate. You look at persons who deal in jewelry. You look at accountants and persons who carry on the business of cambios and so on. So it is a wide cache of persons, business entities that have been looked at because of the role that they play in of laundering, if you will.
In the meantime, the CTOC head said the focus is now on gathering evidence linking these persons to the proceeds of the lottery scam.
And if it can be proven that they are part and parcel of the lottery scamming investigation or the proceeds thereof, then they will be looked at, and the potential and the possibility exists that they too can be arrested, charged, and deported. But there, again, have to be evidence that link their role, their association, but more importantly, their knowledge that the proceeds of the lottery scamming is what is being given to them to be so utilized.
Nearly 2 weeks after he assumed duties as Commissioner of Police, George Quayler will be officially installed in the post today. Mr. Quayler was appointed the 29th Commissioner of Police, assumed office on April 18.
It will be held at the Police Officers Club, starting at 2 o'clock. Persons are invited are expected to be seated by 2. So we expect a number of dignitaries and past and present members of the force, as well as well-wishers, to be in attendance. So it is shaping up to be a very exciting and memorable event.
At least one attorney has so far been engaged by the government to assist officers with case file preparation. Earlier this year, National Security Minister Robert Montague announced that 20 attorneys, one each for each police division, would be assigned. At Thursday's media briefing, Mr. Montague revealed that one of these attorneys has been hired so far and has been assigned to St. James. He says the attorneys will serve in 2 ways. One, to assist with the preparation of case files.
And 2, they will be available to a police officer from a division to accompany that officer if he's called into by any regulatory authority, INDICOM or anybody else. So rather than the police officer is asked to engage a lawyer privately to accompany him or her, one will be available by the state because he would have been executing his duties on behalf of the state.
Matters related to noise issues and solutions were discussed at a symposium held on Wednesday by the Jamaica Association for the Deaf, JAD, in collaboration with the Pan-American Health Organization, PAHO. Reggae musician and educator Michael Ibu Cooper pointed out that the term noise is subjective and steps are being implemented to reclassify the Noise Abatement Act.
So we want to move noise abatement, and we are moving for the act to be called the Sound Regulation Act, because as you see, noise can be subjective because who is being irritated by whom, and especially since the act was formed, as he said, in the colonial days when everything that the slaves did could have been considered noise by the slave master. So we want a generic term called the Sound Regulation Act. It will cover everything, including industrial sound, entertainment sound, etc.
Mr. Cooper noted that the 100-meter parameter limitation with regards to areas designated for sound is outdated, so new measures need to be initiated.
It's no longer applicable because people have now built up beside people. So what we're looking at is something which we're surprised that it is such a new idea to Jamaica because we've been used in other countries for a long time. Decibel meters, straight ahead decibel meters. And then we have a system of decibels per hour of the day. It would mean that in certain places, you would not have to stop keeping your activity. You just adjust your decibels accordingly.
Wednesday was officially recognized International Noise Awareness Day. Amidst concerns of the effects of flooding in sections of the island, residents in Balaclava and St. Elizabeth are without water. Members of the community are imploring the National Water Commission, NWC, to address the discrepancy as the issue is a long-standing one. Residents say the water is life and without the precious commodity, the quality of life is reduced. One resident claims that the area has been without water for up to 1 year, and the NWC has yet to advise why the issue remains unresolved.
Water from silo to Union, and we're still not getting any water, and we need water. NWC, what they said. They're not saying anything, and we need water.
Councillor for the Balaclava Division, Everton Fisher, made an appeal on behalf of residents.
Balaclava are suffering from the lack of domestic water supply. It has been a perennial problem all the years. The residents are planning to block the road. I have written to Minister Chang in recent weeks. I am hoping for it to be addressed because the people of Balaclava cannot take it anymore. They are suffering from the lack of domestic water supply. The pump was put in 1976 by the then Member of Parliament, Sidney Pagan. But since that time, Balaclava has grown leaps and bounds with persons coming in and around the area, and the domestic water supply is woefully inadequate.
All grade 9 students in Jamaica will be studying entrepreneurship as part of their curriculum come September. This is part of the government's effort to familiarize young people with the operations of businesses from a tender age. Speaking on Thursday at the launch of the program, Junior Education Minister Floyd Green says Jamaica's education system tends to create more employees than employers.
I think we all appreciate how important it is to bring real-world experience into our educational system.
Mr. Green believes this addition to the curriculum will teach students how to apply entrepreneurial thinking to the workplace.
How to generate wealth and effectively manage it, and how to create jobs which will make their communities more robust, and how to importantly apply entrepreneurial thinking to the workplace.
The initiative was made possible through a USAID 3-year agreement with Junior Achievement Jamaica through their Secondary Early Achievement Development Program. Time now for a fact or fiction feature. We ask, is this a fact or fiction? The Jamaica Aviation Club was formed in 1936. We'll tell you the answer at the end of the sports segment of the newscast. In news overseas, police in London are making new arrests as part of an anti-terror investigation. The police say they have foiled a second active terror plot in 24 hours after arresting 6 people in raids across the British capital and southeast England. More from the CNN.
Police stormed a residential property there, and we have some video which shows what witnesses saw and heard at that time. That officers fired a weapon at least once because a 20-year-old woman in her 20s, I should say, was injured and is in hospital. The police, during their update just a short time ago, tell us they also used CS gas, so some sort of stunning gas that was fired into the premises as well. There could potentially be what some of those bangs are, but there are multiple bangs there, as you can hear. As a result of that particular investigation, that particular raid, the police say they have now arrested 6 people. What the police want to stress is that these 2 events are totally unconnected. They just happen to unfold on the same day, but they want everyone to know that they believe that the threat that each case posed has now been contained.
Given the horrors in London of a few short weeks ago, and may I say our thoughts are still with the victims and survivors of that horrific day, I wanted to reassure the public that this increased level of terrorist activity is being matched by our action, the police and security services across the country, and we are making arrests on a near daily basis. Due to these arrests that have been made yesterday, in both cases I believe we have contained the threats that they posed.
And now in sports, title sponsor of Jamaica's top football competition, the Red Stripe Premier League, on Thursday afternoon announced that it's discontinuing broadcast coverage of the games until further notice. The competition is now at the second leg of the quarter-final stage. Red Stripe says its decision is due to ongoing issues within the Premier League Clubs Association. The company says it will resume regular broadcast coverage as soon as the PLCA has provided assurances that they have come to a complete resolution. TVJ Sports contacted the PLCA Vice Chairman, Carvel Stewart, and what this means for the league.
We are hopeful that appropriate action will be taken in time to encourage Red Stripe to change their mind about broadcasting.
Are you willing to sit again with Montego Bay United to iron out the way forward?
We sat on Friday and ventilated the issues in full, and their decisions were written and communicated, and the behavior continued.
On Monday, Montego Bay United contested the first leg quarter-final game against Arnett Gardens without wearing the Red Stripe logo. Red Stripe says it remains committed to the league and will continue to support and promote local football. Finally this afternoon, the answer to our Fact or Fiction feature. We asked, fact or fiction, the Jamaica Aviation Club was formed in 1936. It is a fact. The club was formed with only 6 members, but the first successful flight of a Jamaican-built plane did not occur until 1970. The Pitts SI, affectionately known as Miss Pitts, was conceptualized and built largely by John Harrison and Garth Drew, ex-Royal Air Force pilots and members of the Flying Club a later version of the aviation club of the 1930s. Miss Pitts is still flying in New York in care of Harris's son. And that's the Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.